administration and the legislature for their commitment to identifying real solutions to homelessness. Clearly, the increased resources for both prevention services through RAP and in long-term affordable housing through MRVP and public housing are a critical component to our collective goal to reduce the hardships on homeless and at-risk families. Under Secretary Gorenstein and other respected members of the panel, I consider you all respected colleagues and even friends, and this is what I'm about to say. This makes it even that much more challenging. As you likely know, I came into this work nearly 10 years ago after experiencing homelessness with my family. I began to question the validity of policies in place that would house a family in a motel for months rather than the cheaper alternative of prevention or housing. Witnessing and experiencing the trauma of homelessness left my children and I in a state of recovery once we were so successfully housed. I have shared my family's story countless times as a way to connect the realities faced by homeless families with the public policies that rule them. And as I've pondered the impact of these changes to eligibility and have watched them play out on the backs of homeless children, I just can't help but think, wow, that was me. That would have been me, rendered ineligible. Our only option would have been our car. That's the cold hard truth. That's not some anecdote. That's not some story I'm pulling out of the air. I didn't have an apartment hiding over in the side somewhere that I just wanted to escape so that I could gain access to shelter, a motel room. And trust me, Under Secretary Gorenstein, as you suggested in Yvonne Abrams' recent article, as a homeless mother, I would not have needed any coaching to inform me that the safest option at that point for my children would have been our vehicle. Our journey to the front door of shelter had made that abundantly clear to us. And as recent as yesterday, you stated in the Boston Herald, and I'll quote you, "For those who need it, we have maintained a strong emergency safety net through the Emergency Assistance Program. Not only are these reforms creating new and better potential solutions for families, but they will reduce the number of families in motels or hotels." I respectfully disagree, and I challenge your assessment of our current situation. While I will agree that these regulations will eventually reduce the state's reliance on shelter, but that will only be simply because we are essentially slamming the door of shelter in the faces of families in need. I've spoken to too many families being denied shelter to buy into the notion that somehow, by turning our back on them, that this systems reform is somehow strengthening their safety net. For these families, there is clearly no safety net. Regarding your former point on I went over that, but I'll say, I applaud the administration's efforts around MRVP. I think you all know that. But let's not pretend, and I need to make this clear, not one of the new MRVP vouchers will make it into the hands of any of these families who are being denied shelter today. Not one of those vouchers. Additionally, RAP is simply not designed to provide an immediate relief to a family's homelessness situation that night when they are most in need. I think I'm going to end it on that note. I do appreciate your time. I know this has turned out to be a much longer day. As you sit here for hours, I just encourage you to think about the families who are sitting in your local offices 7-8 hours before they're escorted out by security, armed security, and told that that the state has no option for them. So I know that we can work together on this. I am committed to doing what I can do so that the legislature can bring more. I know that I'll say this too, that the governor tried to get an extra $10 million in MRVP. I think everybody should know that we were successful in obtaining 6. But those MRVP vouchers are not going to reach these families that are here today that we're turning our